Good morning and welcome to Political No Brainer, the podcast where we may move past winner takes all politics and into real conversation. Today, my guest is joining us again, Travis Misurell, founder of the FINC. FINC is building a level playing field for America's democracy so every candidate gets a fair stage and citizens get more real. This is an incredible thing you're doing. It's a huge task. I talk about this for 1 second. I'm gonna let you take the floor. But we seem to blame Donald Trump for everything wrong today. And the fact of the matter is that they're all the same. I mean, I was just reading a quote by Fidel Castro when he was asked, should you prefer Kennedy or Nixon? He said, how can you compare two shoes worn by the same person? Basically, um, they're all grifting. They're all gerrymandering. They're all fixing the elections. I mean, you've got Greg Abbott in Texas, and he's going to set up so we win the House and we pick up some seats in Texas. And then the counterattack is Gavin Newsom saying we're going to pick up the House in California then. So in the end, you're both stealing elections. You're both grifting. You're both gerrymandering. And this is your response, left, right, and center. It doesn't matter where you stand today. But you have a different approach, and it's an incredible one. I'm very enthusiastic about it. FINC think Future is Now coalition, standardized fairness and availability so citizens, not party elites or donors, decide the outcomes. Talk about donors for a second. I still remember the banner moment in time when Barack Obama, during a State of the Union, addressed the Supreme Court ruling of Citizens United, and it was like not only did he address it, then there was Supreme Court Justice Daniel Alito who mouthed the words either bullshit or not true or simply not true. But the fact of the matter is, Barack Obama got plenty out of the ruling after his grand announcement at the State of the Union address. I believe Gavin Newsom has mentioned it since then, and so has John Ossoff has mentioned it. They're both benefiting from it. So take the floor. We just compared apples to apples. They're all the same. That's what I arrived at. The point I arrived at.
Yeah, I agree. And people need to wake up to this. And a lot of people are waking up to this, but they're so focused on the lesser of two evils that they idolize their side. And like you're saying, they're both like it's two wings of the same bird, however you want to say it, two sides of the same coin, Democrats and Republicans. Yeah, so we're adding this lens of up versus down politics. That's how we really need to add this one extra dimension. People believe in more left-leaning policies or right-leaning policies as voters. That's fine. But add this up versus down. Is a candidate truly for the citizens, or are they for more power, for money? So up-serving candidates are the ones that are power-first candidates. They appeal to the big donors. They bend to the will of those higher power than them to raise them into power. Whereas the down-serving candidates are the grassroots candidates, and they're the ones that actually want public support and more voters, and get the power where it should be from the actual people that they're meant to represent. So even just adding that one layer up versus down in itself can be a game changer. And then beyond that, what we're doing at FINC Futures Now Coalition is the latest language is like, think of us as a connector. We're a nonpartisan civic utility building a digital politics network of grassroots candidates, creators, movements, independent journalists, linked through the Digital Politics Hub that we just launched this week. We don't ask everyone to agree on ideology. We ask them to agree on just one thing. Citizens should be in charge, and gatekeepers in both parties shouldn't control the menu. So as the network grows, we're going to build towards digital democracy, which is the future citizen-owned home for politics, where every candidate can be seen and every citizen can be heard. So that's the overall vision, is building this one-stop shop, all candidates in one place, everything from Democrat, Republican, third party, independent, showing their fundraising sources, how consistent are they in keeping their promises? Do they even deliver on their promises once they're elected? Like having a streamlined, simple, user-friendly way to showcase everyone and bring accountability into it, and just hold them to the citizens. Like, the bottom line is what this all boils down to is citizen representation. We are not being represented as citizens, and that needs to change. It's not just one party, it's the system as a whole. And that is the core of pretty much all our problems. And so people need to stop obsessing about one candidate or one party and we need to fix the entire infrastructure.
And there's a lot of opportunity to do that, especially with social media, especially with FINC. The Future Is Now coalition. There's a lot of opportunity to do that. Also, where I don't want to lose the opportunity is the amount of conversation, the amount of polarization that has been brought to the table by the first and the second term of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has felt very emboldened now to do more of what he does best. He's a showman. He's a reality TV show guy. He's done it well. He's doing it well. And so we need to, like they say, never waste a good crisis is a term I once heard. We never really want to waste this opportunity. We want you to excel. How does a candidate get on FINC? How does he do it? Just take me through the steps. And then you also said, which was interesting to me, was the social entrepreneur or the visionary, just not necessarily the candidate. I was a candidate at one point. I really didn't care for it. That's why I started a podcast. And I have my own, like there's two things that I was talking about. We're going to talk more about it. A national prepaid college fund. In Florida, you have prepaid college, right? And it's great. You concerned parents can enroll their kids in prepaid college, but they can only go to a Florida school. I want to create a national system, and I want to put kids in charge of it somehow. Let them gain ground on the idea of prepaying their college too through some sort of maybe community service or excelling in school, like we have Bright Futures in Florida. So that's one of my initiatives, not as a politician, but as a concerned citizen or Charles Koch coined the phrase a social entrepreneur. The other thing was a village for kids timing out of foster care. Literally, single family homes or small apartments where kids don't wind up in the street right out of foster care, and placing them by community colleges so they can make it to those community colleges, having transportation for them to their jobs. But just not to talk about that at all, not to talk about my laser focused things. To say, how do I get involved? How do I join your website? Walk me through the steps.
Yeah, sure. So, and to be clear for everyone listening, digital democracy is the long term. That's where it's all like a one big one-stop shop. Everything's streamlined. We're like in a big stepping stone towards that. So it's not full digital democracy yet. It's called the Digital Politics Hub, is what we're at now. So it's a coordination app, and so this stage right now is plugging in citizens and starting to plug in the candidates, journalists, movements. So organizations like what you're talking about can plug in now. So that's what's launched this week. So it's hub.futureis.org is how you access the hub. Our normal website is just futureis.org. If you add hub dot before it, it'll take you to the site. By next week, it'll be clear on our website. We'll have a link there as well. But going to hub.futureis.org, it gets you logged into the hub, basically like a web app at this stage. And so, right now we just released the minimum viable product. We're going to keep adding different features, but one side is for citizens to plug in. So there's becoming a citizen architect, as we call it. Everyone that wants to help support us, help build this next future of politics, build a better civic infrastructure for everyone. They can put their name as a citizen architect there. It also puts you on the list to be a future owner of the technology as digital democracy gets rolled out. And then for what you're talking about, an organization, there's another button for plugging in trusted voices. So to plug in, the plug-in voices section is where either a citizen or an organization can submit for themselves. It's a form where you put what category are you? Are you a movement, a creator, or another organization? And it asks you different questions about like what you're trying to do and how you align and stuff like that. And then so when you submit that, it opens up the process to get you on inside the hub, because we have the plug-in trusted voices is to submit new names, and again, citizens can recommend people or organizations can recommend themselves. And then there's the other section, digital politics. The next, like everyone that gets approved ends up showing in the digital politics aligned voices section. So once you submit your name, we're still developing like a little bit of a vetting process, but then we add your name to the digital politics aligned voices section. So that's where you're going to show all the candidates that are in support of this, the journalists, movements, organizations. So, if your organization wants to be like for like everything we're doing, you would submit that in the plugin section, and then show up. You'll end up showing up in the Aligned Voices. So basically, the Aligned Voices section is where citizens and anyone can see all the candidates and pretty much anyone that's joining this movement and how do and in support of upgrading democracy and everything that we're doing. So it's still like pretty simple at this stage. It's more just lists, like a database and a list for people to look at. But it's kind of the first stage to show who's involved, who wants to support this, start interconnecting us. And then there'll be more and more tools how to coordinate together to start really moving this forward, growing the people power, spreading the awareness. Because once we reach a certain level of people power, then we could fully launch digital democracy, and all the features that we're talking about would move very quickly once we have the right people power and enough like supporters joining us. But so that's where your organization would go, and you would submit in the plugin, and then you would be seen in the Aligned Voices once it's approved.
So this is incredible, and this can be, I've said this when I've literally created a podcast where I get these incredible initiatives, people, the founders, the creators, to talk about these incredible initiatives. This is one of them where I use the term, this could be bigger or more important or more significant than Amazon. What does it take to get to this point? Like, where are you at in this point? Like, how many people do you have on your staff right now, or how many people do you have partnering with you right now, as well as like. So just to point out, Robert Reich, who's is a premier economist, I think he was Bill Clinton's labor secretary, talks about Jeff Bezos started his, like, almost in an offensive type of sort of condescending way, $250,000. His mom loaned him $250,000 to start this. What does it take you've started it, you're rolling? How much dedication, how much more do you need to keep going? Because we want it to keep going, and I want people to understand, do you take donations? Are you just looking for subscribers and all that? Because this is significant. We've got to get things out of the hands of billboards, little snippets.
Yeah.
And we got to get real candidates talking about real stuff.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I mean that's really we're finally really positioned correctly. This is a huge milestone we just got to. So with the Digital Politics Hub launching, and we have all we're lined up to really reach what we're calling our breakout moment. Really take this to the next level where we get the people support, we get enough awareness. So to answer your question, like right now, it's mostly sweat equity. We have a team about 15 to 20 people on the team, mostly just part-time volunteering their time right now. But so we at this stage now is where we need the grassroots donations, $5, $10 at a time, but from a lot of people. We can't have investors because as soon as an investor is involved, they're going to buy. They want to own part of the company, and then they're gonna take control of it. So we have to strictly make this that citizens are going to always be in control of it. So it's always going to be small dollar donations. But if a lot of people give $5, $10, it adds up very quickly as this scales up. So we do need people to get on the hub, sign up, put their name on there, donate if you can. At the bottom, there'll be fund the hub option to donate. That's definitely something that we need help with significantly. So this is really like starting this January, now that we have all the language tightened up, the hub is launched, and we're ready to really take action. Let's make this happen. Things are just so nuts out there, and this can truly change things and build, a shared infrastructure. And it doesn't matter, like we're saying, like it doesn't matter people's political beliefs, where they stand on things. All it matters is building a shared infrastructure that empowers the citizens. It could be third parties. It could be people within the two party, but better candidates in both parties. It could be independents. No matter where you are, where you line, as long as you're not part of the status quo and want a concentration of power, we want to build a shared infrastructure that empowers you, amplifies your voice, things like that. So we definitely need more help right now, gaining people power. We need to get journalists' attention. The more that citizens join us, the more that citizens in the plugin section, like we have it where if citizens recommend a journalist, we then have the citizen tell the journalist to like, hey, look at FINC, look what they're doing, check them out. So it's really like it's a lot about like just catching the right attention, because like the right now we're still at a smaller scale where we're more like getting average people's attention. We need to get like the Joe Rogans and like the like candidates, podcasters, just anyone across the aisle, journalists, anyone that's not status quo but still reputable, well known in society, to know that we exist, to kind of shine a spotlight. We don't even need endorsements for them per se, just to shine a light. If Joe Rogan did like one interview with us, bam, that would be our breakout moment. If we had that much voice and like that much of a shine in the spotlight, that would be humongous. And it could be him, it could be people on the left, like wherever it goes, just somewhere where millions of people see us. We're talking about what we're doing, get into the hard questions. So it's all about visibility, I guess, in a nutshell. It's about visibility. Yes, donations as well. Definitely need donations. And if we could play our cards right, we can make this grow pretty quickly in the next couple months. Then we could have at least some sway by the general election. Or by the midterms. But we do need a lot of people power before that. So it's really just about like making it clear that this is something unique. This is something that empowers average people, and to get them involved right away, joining the hub and seeing what we're about, and getting involved.
So just say you say Joe Rogan, I say Rachel Maddow. Granted, one's a podcast, one's an NBC talk show or TV show, if you will, but as a person that knows Travis Misurell, as a person that's been talking to you about should I email them and say, hey, get him on the show? I mean, is that a good idea? Because the truth is, it's like you said, if you get on the show, that's going to make a significant difference. And then usage is going to make a significant difference. When you see people plugging in, you're going to know how those plugins are going, and you're going to know where you need to tweak it and maybe add another category. The other thing that I can foresee happening is just say I plug in, I say I'm Jeff, and I'm interested in seeing a national prepaid college movement. If 1,000 politicians say I agree, and they start creating, I can't create a national prepaid college. I mean, it's going to take a lot, right? But if we can also gauge what they're doing, did they just agree to get another 1,000 votes, or did they agree because they really believed in it and they really stepped up and made it a part of their sense of mission, their agenda? And we could talk about that as well.
Yeah, exactly. So what you just said, like, telling them that have us on our show, that is key. Having citizens sharing that, or if anyone that has connections, to tell somebody with a connection to share us. It's all about that visibility, like you're saying there. So yeah, everything you're saying is exactly what we need, and like just a little bit of visibility, because like people like yourself, soon as somebody understands what we're doing, like I've literally seen jaws drop of like, this can be the answer, and it's part of the answer is that, like, yes, there's several different solutions that people fight over, but this can umbrella all of them. This can, like, whether you go this way, or this way, it could all be encompassed under the same overarching mission. And that's the key difference that no one else is going on. Like, a good analogy we started using is like, the Democrat and Republicans are on one train going, like, they're thousands of miles ahead of anyone else. And then all the other options, third parties and movements and stuff, each are building a separate train on a separate track. And they're kind of not going anywhere near catching up to the Democrat and Republican. So what we want to do is say, hey, let's stop building separate trains. Let's build one train, different carts, but one train, so that we could actually catch up to the establishment. You have your different carts, left-leaning people, right-leaning people, like however people identify, that can be separate, but within one big infrastructure, one train, one track, but then separate carts. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do, is connect people across those political differences, to move it forward. So it's really just about awareness, the language, like just the more concise we could do of like getting to the core of like what makes this unique has been part of the struggle, because there's just so many pieces to it. So we're getting better at that. But right now at this stage, it's about getting on a show, anywhere across the aisle. It doesn't matter if I agree with them or not. I mean, right now with the podcast, we've been on like with like traditional Republicans, centrist Democrats, some socialists. I've been on a MAGA podcast, like, and all of them pretty much love us. They can totally see what we're doing. They want to support what we're doing. So we're already proving that this works across the aisle, no matter where your political belief is. What we're talking about, building like upgrading civic infrastructure, making it easier to vote, easier to decide who to vote for, taking the power away from the party gatekeepers and bringing it in the hands of the people. Like, who doesn't want that? Aside from those in that concentration of power, who wouldn't want, to be, want the citizens to be in charge? That's what democracy was always supposed to be about, you know?
That was, like we said, I think on the last podcast, we talked about how representatives were supposed to go to Washington for just 2 years.
Yeah.
Come home to their farms, come home to their small businesses, go back to their jobs. But bring those concerns to Washington and then go home. The Senate was an entirely different intention. But the House, and all we see now is these representatives that are there for 100 years and they never want to leave. It's a privileged lifestyle. I've pointed out before, it's an incredible dining experience every day. Travel, who knows if they're friends with the president. They may travel to some Asia for some diplomatic trip. They're not going to leave that lifestyle. But the whole point is that when you have FINC saying, hey, they haven't done anything that they said they're going to do, I've literally got probably 10 pages I printed off on the internet that complaints about Angela Ocasio-Cortez. She hasn't really been the person we all thought she would be, the representative we all thought she would be. And so when we start talking about that, then on this, if more people would focus in on the idea that you're not getting what you're promised, more people would get voted out. There was once a movement, reelect nobody, but they just keep getting reelected. And then they talk about term limits. And then, of course, that's in the hands of those who are going to limit their own terms. So it never happens. So this is just an incredible opportunity. That's why I keep trying to preface how important it is more people. It's like you said, it's not about left. It's not about right. If you really think your candidate's right and you know more about him, you may realize he's not as right as you think he is. You may realize he may have made a lot of concessions that you didn't agree with.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So I always talk about Justice Antonin Scalia. He was one of the most revered Supreme Court justices. He was allegedly an extreme right-wing conservative. He wrote 150 liberal opinions in his course in his time on the Supreme Court. That's okay with me, but don't be fooled. Donald Trump has made a lot of concessions over the years. I don't like his approach. Really, I can't imagine. I haven't found a lot I like about him, but what he has brought to the table is a lot of discussion. And what FINC can bring to the table is more discussion and more awareness and more ownership of government and voting. And that's what we need. We keep talking about how we need to impeach Donald Trump, how we need to imprison this guy, and how we need to we need to not get in these messes.
Yeah. Then that's the key is like, it's about the infrastructure itself. It's about the system. How we choose our leaders is rigged right now. Democrat or Republican, they, before we even know who's on the primary ballot, the Democrats and the Republicans, they know who they're going to shove down our throats. And, 9 times out of 10, their guy's going to win, not 100%, but almost 100%. And that's what people have to understand. Like we talk a lot whenever I'm talking to a lot of Democrats and saying how the system's broken. And I mentioned the Democrats like, yeah, but Trump this, Trump that. It's like, okay, but saying what bad about him doesn't make it positive about your guy. Like you just saying how bad that guy is doesn't improve your guy. The bar is just so low right now on all sides. And so, people need to recognize, like, there's a difference between what the voters want and what the elected officials actually fight for. Like you're saying, like, of course they're going to say, oh, yeah, I want better. I'm going to give you guys better wages and better this and better that. But like that, they have to say that or they're not going to get your vote. Doesn't mean they're going to do it. In fact, mostly likely not. They're not, it's very rare that they're actually going to fulfill those promises these days.
Right. And then with Donald Trump came the term primary. I guess it was Elon Musk. He had this secret weapon. He's going to, if you work against me in the House or the Senate, Elon Musk is going to spend $20 million on your primary candidate. You're going to lose your primary. So let's take that out of the equation. You're not going to lose your primary because your primary is going to be based on information and the record of your service on this website. You're not going to be able to spend $20 million on a whole bunch of false ads. Your record will be there. And if those false ads come out, you'll be able to respond to them as well on this website. And you take that whole primarying is a term that has gone on long before Donald Trump, long before Elon Musk. There's literally been, businessmen, CEOs saying, if you vote for this piece of legislation, I will primary you. I will put $20 million in your primary candidate's coffers to see to it you don't even get the nomination this time around. That's
Yeah.
been going on long before the whole idea of Elon Musk doing it with his own money out of his own pocket. But if you get to that's always it's just a matter of voters being more informed. What are you voting for? What do you believe in? I said it before and I'll say it again. When the government was shut down, both parties were at this. We're not giving until we get this. We're not giving until we get that. But then when businessmen got stranded at the airport, they both came to an agreement. So the American people suffered for 45 days under the ruse that they're not giving in because we don't have the subsidiaries for Obamacare, the subsidies for Obamacare approved yet, or we don't have food stamps reinstated. And I bullshit. What you didn't give into was when people got stuck at the airport is when you came to an agreement. Suddenly, six Democrats flipped their vote and they came to an agreement, and that's how we can identify how power and money has ruled America for
Yeah.
far too long.
Yeah, everything boils down to follow the money. It's there's a Princeton Cambridge study that shows like there's like a zero correlation between public opinion and government action. So whether 90% of America wants something or 10% does not almost insignificantly influences whether they'll actually put something in action. So yeah, we're not a democracy, and it's a shame because like the structure is there. We're just manipulated into false choices because of the money, the concentration of power, the establishment media. Yeah, so like what we're talking about is like having one-stop shop, a digital democracy, showcase all the candidates so that they don't need millions of dollars to be visible. Like right now, that is the problem, is like without millions of dollars, the voters won't even know you exist. And so we're going to build a system where all of them exist, whether they have the millions or not. Yes, once they have the initial visibility, they still have to earn the voters' support over time, but at least they get that initial visibility. They get a chance to prove this is why you should support me and choose me. And then, like you're saying, all the billboards and BS out, that's just the noise, and that's outside of digital democracy, not inside it, outside it. So, as people start getting oriented around this platform, you just consider those billboards and stuff that's just noise. That's just the bullshit. That's the showmanship side of things. And then in here is where you make objective decisions for yourself and your family and whoever you care about. And we're not, and like we're saying, we're not pushing you towards a certain decision. All we're doing is trying to get the manipulation out and the money influence out, and then you decide which direction you want to go. If you're left leaning, that's fine. If you're right leaning, that's fine. If you're doing something else on another layer, another party, that's fine too. We just want to build it so that you actually have the choice without being manipulated by outside influences.
Absolutely. And so let's go. How do you think you'll be ready for the midterms how ready will you be for the midterms? Where do you think you're at this point?
Like right now, it's hard to say. It's a pivotal moment right now. Like really, like the first 2 to 3 months of this year is really pivotal. Of like, we got a lot of layers lined up. We got the hub out. We have tens of podcasts on our side. We're starting to talk to a couple journalists here and there. We have reform orgs, but like we're still need to reach a level of like there's still like this hump that we have to get past where it starts really growing exponentially, and we're not there yet. We need to get the right awareness from like those significant people that are reputable, that can shine a light on us. And it's like we just need one scenario like that, like one time in that one time to shine in a bigger spotlight, and then everything starts moving and escalating very quickly. So if that can happen within the next 2 to 3 months, then by the midterm, we'll have the politician report cards ready to go, at least state and federal level, not local. That's a lot harder, but state and federal level. So it'll be like the first politician report card stuff for by the general. Either way, like we have our hub right now, and we're going to keep developing that, so that's going to keep growing, so we can we are building lists of like good podcasters, journalists, movements, candidates that are good. It's not a full like report card yet, but it'd be like at least putting names of people that are looking to upgrade democracy, looking for true representation. But like the goal is really to really get the meat and potatoes of digital democracy. But again, we need more people support than we're getting right now. So with the hub launch and what we're doing this month and next month, we're hoping to get over that hump. So bottom line is, if we get over that hump within the next 2 to 3 months, really start getting people to spread the word and really understand what we're doing, share what we're doing, support what we're doing, then the rest of it could actually happen quickly. The funny thing is the tech side of it is actually easy. It's the buy-in that we're working on, the trust, the buy-in to understand, like, we're not just handing you a tool. It's actually a new way to look at politics, an easier way to look at politics, and it could completely change the system. So that's what we're working on, is the buy-in. And but like once we, and also the thing with us is like, because of the way we want to do it, where it's citizen owned and all that, we need the buy-in before we could build too much of the product itself. And so that's also the chicken or the egg issue. But it's also like there's a lot of organizations that have built civic technologies and no one knows they exist because of the buy-in. The buy-in is the hardest part, and that's why that's like our entire focus of FINC is about the buy-in, like making this more than just a tool, more than just a tech thing. Like we want this to be like a movement of movements and this new networking of a new political ecosystem that's owned by the citizens, and that anyone from third parties to grassroots and the two parties, everyone gets to be in this shared infrastructure. So that's what we're trying to sell. That's the buy-in that we need, and we need a certain level of people power to make the rest a reality. But again, like once we get in a buy-in, then the tech stuff really kind of falls into place. There's certain organizations that already have a lot of the tech that we just have to kind of like put them together like puzzle pieces into one infrastructure. So the tech can spiral a lot faster. We just need that people power before we can really get that far in.
So let's take this down to a sort of a real case, a hypothetical case, life scenario. I have a person that's running for Florida House, a friend that's running for Florida House. He keeps talking to me about running for city council. Now imagine if I ran for city council. My whole basis of my whole foundation of my campaign is on FINC, right? And I talk about, as a city councilman, the one thing I want to develop is a community for kids timing out of foster care. I live in a conservative community. They may say, I don't want that community in our backyard. But you have a buy-in, like you said. You have a national attention website. Suddenly, my idea goes viral across the country. It never happens in my community. I don't get elected. I'm known as a naive idiot. I'm known as a liberal and a bleeding heart. Fine, good. I didn't get elected. But imagine the sense of accomplishment I would feel if 20 other communities spring up across the country and more. Oh, and then imagine the sense of accomplishment I would feel if the people that were naysayers in my own backyard suddenly see the amount of return on investment these communities are getting, and they build this community. And what happens now is, and it's simply why I'm not doing it, why I'm not running for council, is because I have to go to every little meet and greet. I have 2 kids about to go to college. I have 2 kids in swimming. I work a full-time job. I can't do this. And then they say, just start with 10 grand. I would love to just start with 10 grand on some home repairs. Forget about running for office. So, I mean, I would actually love to start with 10 grand on some certain healthcare issues I've been waiting on. Forget about running for office. But I have this site And not only did we suddenly, these communities spring up, I'm just saying hypothetical, but it's a real life scenario. There's this potential candidate that everybody believes can win this city council seat who just can't run for it because of everything that goes with
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
But all
right.
I have to do is contribute to this website. Well, I can come home after work and talk to people that said, hey, I love your idea of the community, but I'd like to see this, that, or the other thing. And I respond, and those responses are published across the nation. And
Yeah,
those people say,
yeah,
hey, to their
yeah,
lawmakers, have you seen this on FINC? It would change everything.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it would
yeah.
be exactly what, and I quoted Charles Koch before, his book is From the Bottom Up. That's the name of his book. And we're not a from the bottom up country. We are very
Right.
much from the very, very wealthy, the very, very powerful, the very, very elite
Yep.
down. And that's why the growing chasm between rich and poor keeps growing, is because everything is
Yeah.
rigged in that direction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, just to point out just another corporate scenario, Jamie Dimon says proudly, I love regulation. It's my job to interpret regulation. No, it's not only your job to interpret banking regulation. You've been the guy writing it. So you have crushed every small bank across the country writing this regulation that you so love. Like you're saying, I'm a liberal that loves regulation. That's not true at all. You're a conservative zealot that has crushed many, many community banks all across the country with this voluminous regulation you've created. And
Right.
that's we liked going to our local bank and seeing the cashier that
Yeah.
was there for 20 years and saying, "Hi, how's your grandkids? Hi, is your kid still in college? Oh, he graduated." That's all over now, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this could change all that.
Yes. Yeah. No, yeah. Seriously, it absolutely can change the entire system from the ground up. And like it sounds crazy, but like, like look at the stats. Most people want change. Most people don't feel represented. Most people, for the first time in modern history, more people identify as independent instead of being a Democrat or Republican. Like all these numbers, like trust in government, all-time low, trust in media, all-time low. People move to podcasts because they know not to trust the establishment media. So number after number shows that people want change. People want something drastically different. So this is the answer. As big as what we're saying, like the part of the point is it had to be this big because we want to win over everyone, saying, hey, this works for everyone's, like 99% of the country's advantage. Unless you're part of that 1%, this is to your advantage, essentially. So yeah, this completely changes it. But also to feed onto your point where you're talking about the city council person, even now there's stuff that we could do. So what I would say, if you don't even have the 10 grand to get that visibility started, what we want to do even now is that we would help a council person build their social media presence. Because see, that's the key. That's the crux of like how we're changing, like our strategy is now digital, and like what politicians in general, they need to act more like influencers, less like traditional politicians, more like influencers. Where if you don't have the 10 grand, well, now if you're talking to your citizens on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, like that's a free way to start talking and interacting. You don't have to have a team going door to door anymore. You just have to have virtual town halls. So we want to help, even now, help give candidates ways to like kind of be more of an influencer, find a way to engage your citizens through digital means. We would host like a virtual town hall. Like if a candidate is ready, sets a date, and they know they want their citizens to go to this town hall, we'll set up the venue of the digital venue where people can sign in. It's basically be like a Zoom kind of a thing, but we'll help with like the branding and things like that. So long story short, even right now, we would help people evolve and transition their campaign to more of a digital political campaign. Right now, while digital democracy is still in progress, we want to build it on the existing platforms. So like our hub right now is like a nexus to coordinate and build a campaign, but then share it on multiple networks. So you start here. So like for like any citizen that wants to amplify your voice, like you'll be like, here's my content, but here, share it on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Like there'll be different links to share content on whatever platform that citizen wants to share it on. So kind of long story short is like right now where we're at right now with the Digital Politics Hub, We want to meet citizens where they're at their current platforms. And then once we have the people power, essentially move everyone politically onto digital democracy as a new platform. But first, it's more about meeting them where they're at today, which is on like current Facebook and TikTok and all that. So to circle back, like your idea about like a city council person, like we want to help them amplify their voice digitally because it's way cheaper to do it digitally, and it's more modern. People would rather you talk to them on their phone rather than knock on their door unexpected these days. So that's where we're at right now, and then eventually scaling that up and building it in a nationwide way that everyone could plug in this way.
Well, it's transforming, right? It's digitally so it's just like the yellow pages. Years ago, you used to open a yellow page. Now that's over, right? You no longer get 3 giant books that you trip over when you open your front door. It's transforming. And that's a great thing that you're doing just that. And it's going to change. And then the younger voters are going to have more sway and more like, oh my God, I know this now. Because what you're getting now is in Florida, you have a lot of constitutional amendments. And they say, and all you ever hear from both sides is vote yes, vote no. And then you get a little snippet on a postcard that says, this is what this constitutional amendment accomplishes. And it isn't really what the constitutional amendment accomplishes. And then you got the vote yes, the vote no. So you got 3 snippets of information. The actual amendment and what it allegedly accomplishes from either vantage point, and the yes or the no from either vantage point. That's all going to change. Because if you literally have a politician talk about these amendments on a digital platform, be it FINC, be it a podcast, you're going to create young people getting more in touch with what is going on and how the system's played. And it's been played really well for a long time, but that could all change. That's why I think this could be bigger than Amazon. And I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it. Like you said, probably everybody that talks to you and has you on their podcast makes these points of view that this is what we need. So that, and I want you to go over stuff like, for example, what slipped away from representation to control, how voices lost choices, how visibility is gate kept. That visibility, and so the way they play the media today is just an incredible phenomenon. So I always say the reason the Vietnam War was so unpopular because it was the first time war was televised. So then you've got like the Iraq War, which was this amazing, this bomb sails off the plane and down this chimney of this building that we just needed to get out of our way. But the bricks that flew on the street and hit an old lady in the head, that was never shown on TV. So we've played the media, but just one last snippet of your vantage point of how this could all change everything, because I support FINC. I'm going to get involved more and more with FINC on the website, but just take it from here. You say it, what you have to say about what your effort, because it's incredible.
Yeah, so I'll compare it, like the current way to the new way is, so the current way is that even before the primaries, like, the party leaders, they know who they're going to put in a race. And so they put their backing, they tell all the people in their party, all the elected officials that this is the person you're going to support, immediately before the primary. Now the primary, what's supposed to happen is, in a primary, is that like Democrats and Republicans are supposed to ask the voters. Democrats should say, Democrat voters, who do you want to run in this race? And that's what the primary is supposed to be. And the same for Republicans. That's what it's supposed to be. What it is today is that before they even say, here are your choices, they know who they're running. And so they'll be like, even if there's 10 choices, they're not even going to name 9 of those choices. Maybe they name 2, but usually even just 1. So the party leaders already know the person they want to shove down your throat. They tell all their people, if one of the Democrats in that party wants to support a different person, they get crap. They'll get a phone call that night. Hey, you were on media and you like that other guy. No, you're supposed to endorse this guy. So they get bullied into supporting their establishment candidate. Then there you have the media bias. The media already is told, hey, this is the front runner. This is the guy we want to win. And so, again, before the primary even starts, you're going to see all these articles that like Gavin Newsom is the front runner in the primaries for the Democrats for president. And But he's a front runner because the establishment told you it's a front runner. No one even knows their choices yet. Like, how can you say he's winning? He has all this support when no one is supposed to even start running yet. Like, how do you know somebody else wouldn't get support if they actually got a chance? So you have the party gatekeeping, you have the media bias, and then the third thing is the corporate money, like you're saying with Elon Musk, whether it's a billionaire or $1 billion industry or whatever. Then you have the corporations also backing that candidate, so they're going to make sure millions and millions of dollars are helped to advertise that person. Again, all this before you even know who's even running in that primary. And so the new way, what we want to upgrade is that all of that influence, the billboards, the commercials, the endorsements by the establishment, call that noise. That's all bullshit. I mean, even that, commercials these days anyway is more attack ads than saying, like, no one's saying I'm for X, Y, and Z. They're saying that guy is bad. And like, so vote for me because that guy's bad. What do I stand for? Better things. I don't know how to do it. Just better. So we call all that noise. That's the showboat. That's the entertainment stuff. Put that aside. You go to digital democracy. You'll be able to put your zip code in. Here's all the candidates side by side. Here's what they stand for by their policies. Who funds their campaigns. So, for example, if you care about healthcare and you look at this candidate like, oh, they support a policy that I like. But then you zoom in and it says, well, they take $30,000 from big pharma and $20,000 from private health insurance. Well, then they're not going to push the policy that you want them to push. Yeah, they're telling you they are, but obviously they're going to take 50 grand between these two industries is purposely to not do what they're supposed to do. So we're going to show you the conflicts of interest, show you why, like, yes, some of them might need it might be inevitable that they take some big money, but at least like, will help you correlate it to what you care about. If you care about this, don't vote for somebody that takes money against that policy, basically. So streamline and make it easier. I know a lot of this is stuff that people can't figure out themselves. We're going to streamline it. We're going to build a process to make this really, really straightforward for everyone. Like it'd be like a dating service. You say like, where do you stand on this issue? How much do you care about this issue? And you basically fill out what you think of your ideal candidate. And then we're going to show you your matches. Like this candidate's an 80% match. This candidate is a 60% match. So basically a streamlined, objective way to just see all your choices, see which ones you want to support based on what you care about. We're not shoving you down a certain policy stance. You choose where you stand on policies. We just want to match you to somebody that's actually going to fight for those policies. And again, so like all the noise, all the millions of dollars, all that's irrelevant in digital democracy because it's a level playing field. No candidate can buy louder influence over others. Eventually it is a matter of getting citizen support and wanting you and then building your algorithms up of like how many people like you, thumbs up versus thumbs down kind of stuff by average citizens, but no one can buy that influence. No one can tip the scales in their favor. It's all going to be level playing field, fair stage. And then so it's truly for the first time for the American people to decide who wins the primaries, who wins the generals, and so on and so forth, and just really streamlining accountability in government, transparency in government, and just the biggest thing is just the candidate selection process, how we choose our leaders, how we flip the switch for the vote. This just makes it all objective and take out all the manipulation. And so that's what this system will do. So we have tight goals for the midterms, but a lot of what we're talking about by the general is totally possible. A lot of what we're talking about here to really make an impact in 2 years from now, but also hope to make some decent impact here in this current one. But so it's a cheaper, streamlined, user-friendly way. Like people are saying, well, how are we going to afford this? We're talking about something so much cheaper. Instead of every single candidate needing to raise millions of dollars, we have one system that showcases everyone, that plugs all citizens and all candidates into one place, so citizens can see their candidates and candidates can actually represent the people without having to spend millions of dollars to have a voice. They're going to have their visibility right there. So it's way cheaper because it's efficient. It's one system. Like, it's almost like one campaign. We're going to campaign on upgrading democracy instead of campaigning for this candidate, this candidate, this candidate, and like all the 250,000 candidates that exist in the country. You're just doing, you're selling one platform, funneling people into one place, and then let the best man win. Let democracy actually play its course for the first time. So that's what we're talking about. That's what we're envisioning.
That's just incredible. And if you realize one thing, neither one of us expressed a liberal or a conservative point of view throughout this entire hour. We're just saying, let's get everybody out there to voice their opinion. And here's the center stage for that. Here's the TED Talk for that. We're going to get them all out here on FINC. And it would be great if not only do we get a lot more candidates to share their points of view, it'd be great if we get many to uproot the incumbents. When they talk and they hold true to their promises, they're the ones that can say, look, you're voting for Mitch McConnell, who hasn't done a goddamn thing in 30 years, when in fact, here's my record. So we've done this podcast twice. I'm looking forward to do it again. Let's schedule it again. And see where you're at in 60 days or so, because I'm excited, because I think this is the way of the future. Is, first of all, digital democracy is for young people. We have never had so much young person involvement until now. Young people have an opinion, and it's not this frantic repetition of their parents' opinion. Suddenly they have their own opinion. And it's incredible what's going on. So I give that credit to Donald Trump. He's really shook up the system. He swung the bat harder than anybody, but it's really made for a lot of great opportunities. And this is one of the biggest of all. So I've got Travis Misurell with FINC, the Future Is Now Coalition. And I just want to say I want to do this again because, there's so much to talk about. I want to do it again. So let's talk about so this is the Political No Brainer podcast. I got Travis Misurell with the FINC, the Future Is Now Coalition, who is doing an incredible job. But like he said, there's building blocks that still need to be put in place, and they're getting put in place. And there's going to be a lot of progress over time. And it's going to be the premier center for real candidate talk and real candidate reputations and real candidate effectiveness. And that's what we need now, not just what we have like we have now, just this repetition of re-electing the same old cycle of politicians and policies and things that aren't really doing a single thing for us.
We have to change. It's getting just worse and worse. Don't just, citizens, I know it's hard to not freak out on what's going on, but this is the way to take action. Don't just say, oh, well, I'm gonna support Democrats because Trump. Like, there's a reason why he's winning and things are falling apart, is that people are not being heard and people are in pain, and neither side is addressing it. And that's why we're in this issue. It's not just about Trump. So we need a better system. And this is that better system. People join us, hub.futureis.org. That's how you get onto the hub. Put your name on as a citizen architect on there. If you guys know other journalists that you want, like we have a whole plug-in trusted voices section. So if you trust a certain journalist, a candidate, a podcast, or anyone that you think would like this mission, that could be aligned with this mission, we want you to submit their information on the form. And then even get in contact with them, tell them to reach out to us. We need to spread the awareness. Like Jeff's saying here, this has so much potential and it will grow quickly. We just need to get like this one hump of credibility and awareness and really move this to the forefront where people really understand it and can verbalize and share it with other people. Then this could be very huge, very quick. And like for the first time, have a real a much more direct democracy where people are actually represented and there's accountability in government. Just like, maybe it won't be a utopia, but like it'll get us a lot closer to where we need to be in society and build some bridges where people are torn apart right now.
This is incredible. This has so much potential, and you're young enough to see it through. I'm getting older, so I'm gonna stay in touch. But I am really looking forward to we need to stay in touch regularly, seriously, every two,
Yeah.
3 months, and talk more about what's going on, the next steps, and how the midterms, because everything that's already in place, like you said, the citizen architects that's already in place, the hub that's already in place, is steps that we need to take advantage of now. We don't need every
Yes.
step in place right
Yeah.
now. And if we
Yeah.
take advantage of those steps in a big way right now, you'll know more about what to do next and how to improve what is working right now at this moment in time. So
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
I'm looking at having you back, Travis. I'm looking at having you back on the
Sure.
show because it's been an incredible conversation.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
Travis Misurell, founder of FINC, the Future Is Now Coalition. He's already huge things have been accomplished, are ready to roll. The hub is up, the hub.futures.org. The Citizens Architect site is up. So, and I may just jump on that right away because I'm not anxious to be another candidate again, but I do want to be. I want, if nothing else, just have the discussion of a community for kids timing out of foster care. It doesn't have to be something I launched. It can be something that got launched by somebody in a better position to do it than me. I would love to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you, Travis. We'll talk soon. I'll
All right.
email you,
Yep.
see if we could do it again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Sounds great.
Talk to you soon.